from the speech? What message you'd like to get? So I think that based on the answers that came back, and what I'm going to try to accomplish is try to give you practical examples of things that I went through and that I saw from clients that were successful. And because really, none of you really care necessarily to be in real estate. You all care to make as much money as you possibly can, and you believe that real estate is your vehicle, and you have a chush to get involved in real estate. So I'll try how to best help each of you reach your potential that you could reach within the real estate field, and from certain experiences within real estate, tell you, not to tell you what the future is going to be, but tell you the factors you should focus on so you can make your own determination of where you think real estate is heading to. Is it rates going up, rates going down, values moving, and how that's going to affect each of you going forward. So that's for the first part. And then so the round table is more practical, hands-on, when you actually have a piece of real estate, how to manage and run that actual piece of real estate. You know, the first business advice that I think I applied really in my career, I got from my mother. She told me, always look for the good you could take out of somebody. Every person has certain milas and certain chesronos that they have. And some people look at a person, and if they see negative, they don't listen to anything good that comes out of their mouth. And I think to become a student of business and to be successful, you have to be able to sit in every meeting you go to and say, what one positive point can I take away from it? What can I learn from it? And I see people that are successful in the business by me over all the years, they have an attitude to become a student of business. That if someone they could learn from somebody, they're going to learn. They're not going to say, if that person was so successful, then how come ... They can learn from something, let them take it with it. And that's the way the whole business, we built the business with Derech HaTeva. So I want to tell two stories that are really apropos for the market that we're going into now with the new president-elect and everyone's new opinion on the market. A couple of years ago, we met a CFO that worked for a Fortune 500 company. He was a Baal Tshuva. He was retiring. And he said that before what he was looking to do was get a job in a non-for-profit organization. So I went to meet him, my partner's here tonight, I went to meet him with my partner, and I made a pitch to him. I said, I have 100 from people. They're trying to make a living. I said, we're never going to be able to afford, in the nature of my business, to have a CFO with your caliber. But if you're anyway deciding to go for organizations and help out, come in just for a few months. We'll pay you enough money for these few months. We'll analyze the business. I'm sure the insights you give me, I could carry for the rest of my life with me. And it'll help the pronounce of the people that I'm trying to train. Become my partner in helping me out. Be able to convince him. And he came in. After going through the books and going through meeting the staff and meeting everybody, he told me two amazing stories that he told me. He said the first story is that ExxonMobil used to be the #1 company in the world. Now Apple and Google are fighting for that. Before the tech boom, ExxonMobil was the #1 company. And he said in the 1950s, oil was trading at about $50 a barrel. The president of ExxonMobil took the whole company, the executive team, on a retreat. At the retreat, he broke up the whole company into 3 groups. And he said, we're going to go and do an exercise. This group, write a business plan. What will happen if oil will drop to $20? This group, write a business plan. What happens if oil stays forever at $50? And this group, write a business plan if oil goes up to $80 a barrel. And the whole entire weekend they're writing and each debating amongst each other. If the prices drop, we have to cut expenses, we have to do different things. If it stays the same, how are we going to generate market share? If it goes up, we have money to reinvest in the different things we have to take care of and do. At the end of the retreat, he takes all the 3 reports, puts it into his drawer, and business goes on as usual. When the oil embargo came, and oil went to $80 a barrel, they were the only company that had a thought-out business plan from the executives of the company how to react. He just pulled that business plan out, executed, and they started to grow. When the oil embargo ended, oil went down to $20. We took out the other business plan, executed, not a knee-jerk reaction, a thought-out plan, and then it stabilized and kept moving up from there. That's the one story he said. While you're running a business, so you make a decision to go into real estate, everyone is going to tell you different things about the marketplace. And you have to be able to run a business and run your own career and say, have some level of scenario. What happens if interest rates do go up? What happens if interest rates go down? What happens if rents go down? And have a plan accordingly for it. You can't just go on one track with Derech HaTeva and say, I'm going to become successful. You see what's going on. The newest thing, Amazon rolls out, Amazon Go. Stores without any checkout counters. The whole new world we're going into, driverless cars, Uber, all the world is changing. So some of the things have to be planned out beforehand and say, where's that move going to? So when you're going to go face with changes in a marketplace, are you anticipating different moves to be able to survive? Like you said, the young Jewish entrepreneur, everyone here is either really young or you don't get hired at a minimum. So you're not looking to go into business and make money for the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. You're looking to make money for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. The world's not staying the same. We could talk about where rates are going in the short term and the long term, but that long term is not taking effect 30 years. And if you want to be successful and watching and learning from the people that taught things, you got to have a plan to have built in for different maneuvers. And I'll get to later specifically how I think what's going on, what the general accepted wisdom is where the market's heading, what assumptions you should make, and move from there. The second lesson he taught me, which I applied in the business, I think this is really a very important part, is that if you were driving, he says, if you were driving down Avenue L, it's a two-way street. There's a yellow line in the middle. There are cars going this way, they can move pretty fast if no one's in front of them. There's cars going this way, they can move pretty fast. But if you decide to go into the middle, you at the end of the day, you're going to die. And even while on the way to death, you can be driving very slow. Because you have to make sure that if a car's coming towards you, you're going to swerve out of the way. If a car's speeding up from behind you, you're going to have to swerve out of the way. He says, so many times I see in a business, you make decisions. And you have to make a decision, what do you want to accomplish? You know, they talk about in business outside of real estate, even within real estate. You can't make money. You look at the real successful people in real estate, they pick one part of real estate and they become an expert in that field. You want to buy real estate? What type of real estate do you want to buy? You can't be an owner of apartments, office, retail, hotel, because you can make money in real estate. If you look at the people that are successful, they find one part of the business, and then within that part of the business, they take an expertise. They're going to say, I'm going to master a neighborhood. I'm going to master a certain property size. I'm going to master something within that one expertise. And if you do, you could go ahead and fly. I have a client of mine who owns the largest privately held coin-operated laundromats in apartment buildings. And he has no debt in his business. He started when he was like 16 years old. And I always asked him, how come you don't get involved in any other business? He's sitting on so much money. He says, let me tell you something. I'm 60 years old. There is no one on this planet that knows my business as well as I know it. There's no one, I make a decision, I don't have a board. I have no debt. Whatever I decide to do, I write a check. Yet, I make mistakes. Could you imagine if I go into a business that I don't know? So that's the mistake. A lot of people come in and they focus on the upside. You want to focus on the downside. You want to focus on what's one thing I could take away, and then once I master it, keep becoming a student of that industry, a student of that market, and know everything that you can to own that. And then if you stay using the ExxonMobil as an example, look ahead of the curve. Listen when someone tells you. I meet people who say, I remember when Blockbuster in Hollywood, this big real estate place says, well, you know, I could buy Hollywood Video at such a big discount. I said, yeah, because they're going out of business soon. No, impossible. You think 2,000, whatever number of stores they have, they're going to go out of business? It doesn't exist. There are industries that we're seeing in our lifetime going to go out of business today. Things are going to change because of what's going on. You talk about transportation as a big thing in real estate. Every time they build a new train stop, real estate's going to go up there. It's going to change with driverless cars. And if you don't think it's coming in our lifetime, Uber's there. The whole need for a car and how the transportation is changing, that people could live in different markets that they otherwise couldn't have lived until now. So there's certain changes that are going to take place. Retail. For some to say retail's not going to take change. You know, you talk about market share. Amazon, they say 30% of all online sales. And the rate that online is growing is more than doubling year over year. So it sounds scary. In a couple of years, take the whole market, but it's only like 4% of the market. The overall retail market is 4%. But it's growing at such a fierce pace, it's going to change. The stores in Avenue J, the stores in Avenue M in Brooklyn here, wherever you shop, it's changing. So at what point is it going to change? I thought for me, like the aha moment that really made a difference, I was sitting in a meeting with a client. The client, I think it was late Thursday afternoon. The secretary walks in and says, by the way, I just want to remind you I'm not here tomorrow. And realize it's supposed to snow over the weekend. So she walks out, and he starts looking at his phone, he's typing, I thought he got an email or something. And I said, what are you looking at? He says, I just went onto Amazon and I ordered salt. Why should I schlep the salt thing? It'll be delivered to my house tomorrow, 50-pound bag, and I don't have to schlep it. When people start getting culture that it's simpler to order something on Amazon, the world is changing. So to sit here today, and especially with President-elect coming in, and all the positives you think he could bring to a market, you have to look, what is it going to trickle down? And then based on the parts of real estate you're in, how does it affect you? And do you have a plan, what if, and have some sort of thought-out scenario as the market changes for you? As individuals, and to focus on each of you as an individual, irrelevant to which segment of the business, whatever what you're in, people ask, how are we able to train brokers in the office to reach the successes they're able to reach? And I can answer b'derech hateva, how I worked it, and some of the thought process. There's three main things that I could give over, I think you could walk away with and take to yourself when you're going through. Throughout your whole life, you're told about your weaknesses. Throughout school, you got to fix this problem, this is your problem, you're never going to succeed because no one successful can have this handicap. And that's the way most people are trained growing up. And they talk about sometimes the most successful people, their drive is to prove everybody wrong. That's one level. I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to go out there. But I think the real message is you want to play to your strengths. Don't work on your weaknesses, polish your strengths. If you're amazing at something, find the job, find the situation where you're going to shine because of what you're great at, and focus on becoming the best you can at that one thing as an individual, number one. Number two, you want to find, and especially in real estate, look at every single real estate article about a deal that closed. Every article has a minimum of 2 people involved in the transaction. Sometimes 3, 4, or who knows how many, and their teams. And if you break it down, it's a concept I'm able to coin, it's called make whole. When you're hiring somebody, or you're partnering up with somebody, at the end of the day, the biggest mistake is that people hire people similar to themselves. If I have this personality, I'm going to hire someone similar to me. But we're going to both end up with the same weaknesses. So we have the same issues we want to try to grow. The key thing is to be able to partner up with someone whose strength and weakness complement each other. So to convert it to numbers, if you meet someone that's an amazing, you describe someone, this person's amazing. What is the definition of amazing on a scale of 1 to 10? This person's an 8. But how do they get to become an 8? Some things they're a 6, some things they're a 7, 8, 9, and 10. They average out to an 8. What's a superstar? A superstar's a 9. What's the difference from 8 to 9? How did they get there? They got there because they have one trait that they're a 12 at. And without sacrificing any of the other traits. So the same 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, one of them is pulled out, becomes a 12, brings up the average to a 9. There's some people in this room that have talents that are off the charts. They could have the gift of gab. They could do certain things that are at a whole different level. Those people also are superstars. But they typically are so out of their realm that they have certain things that they're negative at. If they're put in the right zone and doing what they're great at, they can make a fortune. If they're stuck doing the other thing, they can't even make a parnasa. So the best way to find a partnership, when you see businesses that grow or teams that are very successful, is that you get someone that's an 8, or you get someone that's a 9, that realizes, take the 9 as an example, and is able to respect that the other person, and has the 12, which is their 6s, and they're willing to respect each other and work well as a team. They walk around the street all day long as a number 12, and there's no one outperforming them. But many times people try to work together, ego gets in the middle. How can you go and look for the greater good to go make it work? So the concept is, if you're going out and you're in real estate, find yourself a partner, whether it's legally a partner or someone that you work together with that complements your strength and your weakness. It could be that you're the boss of the business and your assistant should have the strengths that make you make whole to make up that difference. Most people that are involved in real estate on the sales side of it typically are not organized. You're going to succeed the best if you find yourself someone who's working with you that's the most organized person under the sun, to the point that you're going crazy from that. Maybe they have some issue that's just driving you nuts all day. But that's really where your success is going to come from. But you have to respect them what they are. You can't say, why should I pay them that kind of money? And it leads me to my next point. You want to grow yourself, or you want to grow your business. Those of you here that are business owners or team leaders, from the top down. The biggest mistake that I made in my business is that when we were in the growing years of the business, I started many times from the ground up. So I had brokers that were very successful, and I figured, let me groom more brokers. And what I learned over the last 3-4 years, and really, Baruch Hashem, that's when the real growth of the business came into a whole new level, is that I focus from the top down. There's a line is, you have one fixed commodity, 24 hours, it's called time, 24 hours in a day. You can't buy more time. So the truth is, you can buy more time. And the way you have to be able to buy more time is focus on your pocket, and don't focus on the other person's pocket. And if you go out and look at your day, ask every person in this room, and you go around and ask to yourself, or anyone in real estate, if you had 3 hours extra a day, how much more money would you make? Everybody's answer will go anywhere from 20% more to double, triple, the sky's the limit. I just can't free up my day. The way you're going to free up that day is going out and finding this make whole, but starting from the best person down. So I walked over to my top broker, and I asked my top broker, what is the one thing, what would free up your time? What are you busy with? And finding someone that could fix that specific need. So I wasn't focusing on a new person coming in, how to make them successful, starting from zero, growing it up. I went the other way around. Went to my senior broker, and by asking the senior broker, said, if I had someone to help me with paperwork, I could do more. So even though, yes, did I overpay that next person who walked in the door when the market's $40,000, I may have paid $50,000 for a great person because the senior broker, in order to trust someone, had to trust someone that looked competent day one? Yeah, I overpaid that employee. Lucked out because the senior broker needed that broker's help, needed that person's help. But that help that they came in, this senior broker now doubled their business, or 20% up their business. So he looked at his pocket. Last year I made $200,000, and now net of paying the person working for me, I made $250,000. That person's very happy that they're making $70,000 in a market they're only worth $50,000, or they're making $60,000 when they're worth $40,000, whatever the number is. So a lot of times I meet people that just follow through until I break through to people in an office, and I'm trying to convince them, bring out a team. Whether I'm paying it or not, they just can't, using the word as again, they can't allow themselves to overpay. Why should that person make money? Because of my work. Don't look at the other person's pocket. Look at what's happening to you. You have a goal. You're making $200,000. You want to go to $300,000. Is this getting you to that next goal? You want to work to get that point to the next goal. So if you're putting it together is focus on polishing your strengths. Know what you are. Try to find those things you could become a 12 at. Make whole as a partnership and work with someone that their strength is your biggest weakness. Find someone who has a 12 that's your 6, or that you think is your biggest weakness, and then respect the person, have a mutual respect for the person to work together. That's the biggest part of your business. Going to go ahead and grow and move up from there. Like I wrote into, they wrote in the press release that went out, and there's to focus on what are you supposed to focus on in this market going forward? You're in the real estate business. You want to know, or you're thinking about going in, where should you go into the business? And you have people telling you all different types of things. The things that's most important is you can't listen to all the what they call the hack on the street, what the people are talking. You have to focus on your belief in your numbers first, then to everybody else. There's an amazing article about Jared Kushner, why he won the elections. And while everyone is walking around talking and what is Trump doing, he's wasting his time, he's going back to the wrong states, they were analyzing data all day long, actual data and actual results from Facebook and social media, and they knew exactly where they had to be and which sub-market had to be in and what that market was looking for and what they had to tell them. They weren't listening to public opinion. And that's, to me, the difference in some people in the next few years within real estate. The buying real estate today is still in public opinion. The key question, when you talk to anyone in real estate, how's the market? Change it. How is the market since November 8th? What have you seen since November 8th? It's a different world. Every aspect of the world is different since November 8th, and you must apply it into a marketplace. When I opened up the business, the same thing. I worked for another company prior, and people came to me and said, why are you leaving? How are you going to make it? You have to look at where your numbers are. Now, on a public opinion, someone could say, I was 25 years old, I left another business as a partner, and I opened up my own firm. So someone comes over to me and says, you're crazy, look what you're giving up. How many people at 25 seeing success? It's not about public opinion. It's about looking at the numbers. What success did you bring? What value do you bring to the table? And don't listen to the naysayers. Look at the actual numbers to make every decision you make. So if you want to know what are numbers you want to sit over here and focus on, here's what happened in real estate in the last 20 years. I'm going to tell you the points that are facts. And then you could draw your own conclusions and how you want to deal with it. What business plan are you going to write for ExxonMobil? So I'll tell you the facts to make your decisions when you walk out of here. 20 years ago, or longer, real estate was based on bricks and mortar. When you would speak to someone in real estate, the lingo was, this building is worth the money. It's worth the bricks, the location. That was the discussion. Over the last 20 years, it switched from bricks and mortar to financial engineering. It had nothing to do with bricks and mortar. It has to do with how much cash flow the building throws off. How much of an IRR, cash on cash, what you could get your equity for. How much leverage could you get? You could have a deal that someone's going to buy for $10 million, and he finds out that he could get a loan instead of 80%, 85%, he'd pay $10.5 million. Finance should decide how much a building's worth. The building's either worth 10 or it's worth 10.5. But what changed over the last 20 years, and very heavy over the last 3-4 years, it became financial engineering. So the people that were creative and understand financing, and in the Jewish world, the first person to understand financial engineering was David Lichtenstein, built his whole real estate portfolio based on financial engineering. When banks were thinking a building's worth 4 times rent, 5 times rent, 3 times rent, he understood how it's going to work based on how Wall Street started lending. He was the first Orthodox Jew to borrow money on Wall Street at that kind of level. And he understood it and he mastered it. And every deal, that was the beginning. The build-up to the last crash was financial engineering crash. The fundamentals, the way they underwrote the loans were accurate. The problem in the last market is that when the market crashed, is that people started fudging numbers and investing on the future. But the actual formulas, if the numbers were accurate, wasn't so far off. It was financial engineered and the numbers worked. But over the last few years, this is why real estate grew at the level it grew. And you have to remember it's herd mentality. People follow the herd, especially in real estate. You don't know anything about real estate, you talk to your friend, he says, oh, it's a great thing. If someone just put $100,000 into a deal, 2 years later, he got $200,000. Now real estate became a good thing. But you're hesitant to hear another person, then you jump in. They say over from Rabbi Beryl Wine, use this example. A person buys a building at 1 times rent. He sells it to 2 times rent. Goes to the next person 3, 4, 5, 6. The market crashed at 12 times rent. Is the guy from 11 to 12 or 12 to 13 a bigger idiot than the person who wanted to or smarter? I don't know. That's the bashar that happened at that time. But financial engineering that came in now in the marketplace, this is what caused real estate to go up. 1, interest rates went down. So because interest rates went down, now I could afford to borrow more money based on the payment plan, based on the net operating income of the building. So because of that, people were able to borrow more, they paid more for that same building. As the interest rates went down, automatically cap rates went down. But the real phenomenon over the last few years is as follows. It was nothing else to do with your money. No one felt safe investing in the market. No one felt safe in business, all regulations coming up, and therefore, the only place to put your money was real estate. So not only did rates go down, not only did cap rates drop, but the spread of cap rates to rates got tighter. So if an interest rate used to be at 5%, let's say, and a cap rate was 7, so interest rates went to 3, naturally cap rates will be at 5. The problem now is that cap rates went from 5 down to 4. The cap rates went tighter and tighter and very close to the interest rate number. What's happening right now in reverse is now this is where you could draw your own projections, what you think is going to happen going forward. So up until about a week ago, these were the facts of the marketplace. The perception and reality is that interest rates went up 0.5 point. And the rates went up. There is nobody that believes rates are going back down. Everyone believes, if anything, the people the most optimistic, rates are staying where they are. The biggest pessimist, rates are going to keep skyrocketing. And everyone else is somewhere in the middle. Without looking at anybody else, your own personal opinion. What do you think? If you're buying a piece of real estate, you're investing in real estate, you're doing anything real estate related, what do you believe is going to happen? Is real rates staying where they are? It's staying where they are. There'll be a little bit of a correction in the marketplace. If it shoots up, we're in big trouble. So what do you think is happening in that short term in the marketplace? That's one point about the rates. What changed in the last week and a half is 2 things. Reports started to come out for the first time that rents are starting to drop in the better neighborhoods in New York. So you have high-end rents where it's never going to go down. You have tenants that are getting renewal letters to pay lower rent than they're currently paying now without even asking for it. So here you are, you don't know anything about the market, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you work somewhere, you're paying $5,000 a month rent, $4,000, $3,000, the higher end of the market. You get a letter, your rent's renewing, instead of $3,000, it's only $2,700. What do you think the person who's sharp says? Oh, you ready to go $2,700 without me asking? I'll pay $25. How many times, I just came from a client now who buys the next tier of buildings. He goes, you know I'm renting all day long? Because all day long, the difference from my rent and the next rent is such a big spread. I'll be able to get a whole big market. I said, what do you do if the rents are dropping? He doesn't have a plan. So for the first time, rents are dropping. So rents dropping could change, again, do you believe rents are dropping? That's your own opinion. But the statement, do you believe it's going to stay down? Do you believe it's going to trickle down to lower buildings? Well, these were just overpriced. It never made sense at $3,000. It always should have been $2,700. It never made sense at $5,000. It always should have been at $4,000. These is your own opinion. You could judge. But the facts are rents are dropping. The other part of the equation that came in, and this is where, how far rates are going, is when you leave the real estate field. I was talking to Avram Fruchthandler, and he was telling me that he has a cousin of his. Because as much as he's supposed to be the guru in real estate, he says a cousin of his calls him up and says, I'm buying in Queens a 2/2, which means 2 apartments and 2 stores. Can I help him, give him advice? I didn't even know how to underwrite it. Because in the size buildings that he buys, in his mind, he knows he has a super. You can't even afford a super, so how do you do the vacancy, the rent? And on the retail, how do you figure it out? He goes, I felt like crazy. I'm supposed to be the real estate guru, and I couldn't give someone a piece of advice on a small building. Usually anything else you do, a small thing is easier, I'll help you out. It's the opposite side of the equation that went. So these are opinions you're going into a marketplace. So so up until this point, these are the facts. And I can just tell you my own personal opinion based on these facts. And again, the one piece of intel that I have over the general public is that I track data. I track numbers of transactions we work on. So I can see a level of a slowdown. I can see transactions slowing. And I know why people are buying real estate. And I learned, don't just ask the question, things are going great. Ask the person, since November 8th, have you signed a new contract? When he's talking to a sales broker. Ask the person, why did the person who sold the building to you sell? So my personal opinion is that we're going to have what's called a paralysis. And paralysis is that transactions are going to slow to, not a halt, there's always a percent of things that happen, but whatever volume of movement that's happening in a marketplace, I think it's going to slow down drastically. Because most sellers, when you talk to a seller today, a seller sells, listen, if I could get someone to pay me $10 million, I might as well sell this building. But if you're only going to offer me $9 million, I'm not selling the building. Using financial engineering, you take the same deal someone bought a few months ago and tacked on an extra half a point in interest rate. Forget about the values there or not, you can't throw off the same returns. So the person is going to have to borrow less, will want to pay less. The seller wouldn't sell. People aren't selling because they're in trouble. Banks aren't in trouble. Banks that were very healthy the last few years. And they lend people money not based on future projections. They lend people money based on historicals and based on in place. So for the most part, no one's in trouble. So if they're not in trouble and rents are up, and soon cap rates are going to rise, and then as people aren't cashing out their money, it's not the hottest thing to invest in. The belief is that cap rates are going to start rising. The question is, does it go from paralysis to what? Does it go to paralysis, and then people just say it's crazy, it's a boring business. I don't want to be stuck in this old business, dealing with regulations of the city. I own a building, only make my return based on after my preferred to the investors and how I make my money. It's not worth holding on further from there. So this is where it goes out. If rents drop, they're going to have trouble. They can't afford the mortgage payment. Is there going to be a crash? I don't think it's going to be a huge crash because there's so much money waiting to hold it up. But the question is it moving up from here? So I think people that are looking today to buy, go into real estate to buy, you have to have a very good story, you have to have a very good plan and understand how are you cashing out in a few years. What worked for the last few years are gone. It doesn't exist because interest rates right off the bat are a half point higher with a mindset that they're rising, with a mindset that rents are coming down. You come in and when people say that Trump is becoming president and the positive parts of him becoming president are the positive, the economy is going to get better. When you listen to people, the economy is going to get better, it's going to create jobs, higher salaries, all these things. That means there's other opportunities to do with your money. So not everyone's going to be chasing real estate the same way. You can invest in businesses. He drops regulations in certain industries, more people go into those industries. If you follow that theme too, rates have to rise more. So when I meet someone who's high on the financial side of the world, he knows nothing about real estate. He knows what it means if what it means if the economy gets better, and what it means if Trump's plan, if you believe in Trump's plan. So again, if you believe Trump is doing an amazing job, the world's going to be great, this guy says it has to follow through. That the 10-year T-bill is going to keep flying up, potentially doubling over the next 3 years. Do you believe that? You don't believe that. But don't just take a public opinion because I'm getting up and making a statement like that. Now, is there opportunity? Yeah. Now step back and say, based on this, what's the opportunity? You might have to wait a few months. Wait till things shake out a little bit. Do the smart money. They hold the money with them, and they'll see what's going to happen in a few months. But I think when you're going into a marketplace, and the real walk away from here is that in whatever business side of the business you're going to go in, the most important asset is you. And you want to operate at the max you have the ability to operate. People ask me for my own business. So what did I do to protect myself, going forward? I see the market going in the world of technology. So we came out with an app. We invested heavy in data. So my brokers, when they're on the road, they have better technology when they're out of the office than when they're sitting in the office available to them. Everything is live in their hands. So forget about the app that you could download. When a broker in the office logs in, every screen from every part of the whole entire company is at his fingertips to go do business. So if the market becomes a market where transactions slow, and you have to be able to operate on a quicker basis and pricing points change, I can operate in that direction as well, planning it. On the other end of it, I think that we're in a business where people are going to pay for different services. Human beings are never going to be replaced. My belief is that they're never replacing a mortgage broker, they're never replacing a sales broker, they're never replacing a leasing broker. But with that, it's changing drastically. The way you get paid is going to change. I think that over the next bunch of years, you're going to get paid based on time and value, not based on the size of the transaction. The same way a lawyer gets paid based on how many hours they put in. If you want a partner, you pay more. If you want an associate, you pay less. Same concept's going to work here. And with technology, you can handle more deals. You know, Paul Massey, Bob Knackles from Massey Knackle told me once, he says, Ira, just remember the business that you're in is you sell data. You're not a mortgage broker, and he says about himself, I'm not a sales broker, and you're not a leasing broker. You sell data. And the data you're selling is you know which bank is right for this building. You know what details you can negotiate. But as people are, all these tech companies are coming out, and all these data companies are coming out, and the owner is more knowledgeable, he has to buy less data from you. So the less data he buys from you, things are going to change. Not just that the educated consumer is the best customer, things are going to go ahead and change accordingly. I want to just end on one point that I could say, that it's a from crowd that's here, so I could share a certain sentiment that's here, is that the whole business of real estate should be derech. While someone's going to buy something, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. And what I found over all the years that Sadashav, of anyone that ever I worked with in the office, my mate was successful, those I see in different industries, and I spend a lot of time asking people, that's why I analyze. What was people, when I have an opportunity to meet someone very successful, I want to know how they got here. What were the turning points in their career? What were the moves they made? The one Sadashav across the board is that I found is that when you're doing the Ishtadlus and Derech HaTeva, that controls the mazel. So when I meet somebody, and I ask the person, if your twin brother or twin sister came into the business, the exact business you're in, and they ask you for advice, how should they spend their day? How should they grow their business? You give them a whole business plan what they should do. They're exactly you. They have all your miles, all your chesronos, they're everything. And I say, write it out. And then you turn to the person and say, mark yourself on each line item. What would you grade yourself in this line? This line I'm at, do 0. This line I'm at, do 90% well. Those that average 90% of their belief made the money. So you could walk out of this room here today, and you could meet someone who listens to the speech that based on this, I think rates are going to go down, I'm going to buy based on that. It's possible they're going to be successful, and the buildings that they're in, and whatever they're buying. But the key is, are they doing it because they want to just be, I just like to go the opposites from everyone else? Or they actually believe the way they're going in? Are they forced to say that because their job is, they won't have a pronounce otherwise? Those that do it with Derech HaTeva, that they're operating with the Ishtalas and a business plan with Derech HaTeva, those people found the mazel. That's on the one part of what you could put in. So when you're listening here, walk away with what talks to you, and you're going to walk out of here and change up your game, that you could say to yourself, you're doing 90% of what you believe. Not because public opinion is something different. That's one part of it. The second part of it is davening and tzedakahs. If that's the answer is, I could say this going out, is that I know, before I came up here to speak, I said a kapitel tehillim, and I speak in English. I say, God, let me have atzlacha here, whatever you came to gain from this, you should be able to gain from it. But I do meeting by meeting. The one thing at the end of the day is to be able to be moitzachim by people. So if you're going out to meet someone, let the person have yourself that atzlacha there. You sit this trunk so many times, put all your shtadlus in, you come to a meeting, the thing is off. People could argue today, should you wear suits, not wear suits, casual. Now, everyone has a whole different shittas in all these points. It's what you believe, and seal it all together between tzedakahs and sealing it all together by tefillas from there. To end with one last point is I have a business card. My business card is not here to solicit your mortgage business. My business card is that I came up here and offered the time if I could be able to help you. I respond to every single email before I go to sleep. So my email address is on there. I'll give you my business card, you'll never lose it. It's a $2 bill. And it's one per person. But when you're going out there, if there's any questions you have, I think I can be of help. It's like someone told me when I was interviewing someone that I train at Goldman Sachs, you don't have to know every answer, but you have to know who does have the answer. So at least if I don't have the answer for you, I'll try to guide you 1 or 2 people away that can help you get what you need. I thank you very much. I hope it was helpful to you.
Okay, so we're going to transfer over now to the second half of the event. This event is a 2-part event. Just had a fantastic keynote address that was really amazing. And we got some very deep forecasts over here. Make sure to take them to heart. Before we transfer over, I just want to do a few thank yous. First of all, again, as I said before, CHYE and TJE, both of us do business mentoring. So if any of you run a business and you need some mentoring, it's a chesed program. We're there for you. Reach out to us throughout the year. We're there to help you. I want to thank tonight's event. Could not happen without the support of sponsorship. We have some special generous sponsors. I would like to thank them. I would like to thank Mark Nussbaum from Mark J. Nussbaum and Associates, who we have two of his associates here. They're going to be running the legal table. Aaron Goodman and where are you, Aaron? You're there. Okay, thank you very much for your sponsorship. I'd like to thank Brooklyn Brokerage. It's a fantastic insurance company. Mendel Pinson is going to be running a table to answer your questions about insurance. I want to thank our beautiful designer, Brand Right, who's here tonight. They have a beautiful design company that can make your company look beautiful. If you need to redo your website or you want to refresh your brand look, they're here tonight to help you grow your company. Thank you very much, Brand Right. I want to thank Mishpacha Magazine, Jewish Community Council of Marine Park, SBA Loan Group, Mendy Realty, PH Works, Elion Systems, and also Usher Shochat CPA, who's here tonight. If your business needs a good accountant, he's here to take care of your needs. You can speak to him throughout the time. Okay, so the way this is going to work now is that we worked very, very hard to get you from the very best people in the industry to sit here tonight and to answer your questions in all different areas of real estate. Each table is going to have a topic, and it's going to have a moderator or an expert. He doesn't give speeches, he answers your questions. So you have a question about funding, you have a question about being a real estate broker, you have a question about investment properties. Each table will have that topic. You could sit at that table the whole time, you could ask your questions, you could get up and you could switch tables, you could get up and see a friend and you could come to the side and you could talk to him. This is basically like an open networking session that's going to happen right now with some of the most talented people in the real estate industry. And I want to thank each of the people tonight that's going to run these tables. They took off from their busy time. I want to thank each of them personally as I announce their names. Okay, so we have as follows. We'll start right in front of me over here. So this table over here is going to be navigating funding. So if you have questions about funding a project, we have here the esteemed Avraham Bergman, who's a co-founder of Eastern Union. He's going to be sitting at this table. Just flip it on. Okay. We're going to have this table will be the art of flipping. So if you're the type of person, you're in the business, you want to do a quick flip. So what we have here, Mendy Lipsker, well-known realtor from Crown Heights, is going to be running this table over here. Okay, this table over here from the well-known realtors of Crown Heights is called the art of the deal. So if you're a broker, you want to learn the secrets of making a great deal. So over there, okay, so we have David Unick from Pinnacle Realty, one of the top commercial real estate brokerages, is going to be answering your questions. You're right, that's true. Okay, so we have Shia Rubenstein, the esteemed Shia Rubenstein from J Builders NY, also the head, Leroy Shakal of Marine Park, JCC Marine Park. Shia is going to be doing rehabbing strategies. So if you need a rehab, a property, you have questions, you can come to this table. Okay. Over here, if you are a junior broker or a broker and you just have questions about life as a broker, so I have my very own brother, Mordechai Werdy, who's an amazing realtor for Town Residential. So he'll be at this table to answer those questions. Okay, if you have legal questions, legal issues about the property or deal that you're about to make, this is going to be the legal table. Aaron Goodman from Nussbaum and Associates will be at this table. Here we have from the famous developers of New York City, Eli Karp. We're very honored that he could be here tonight. If you are trying to evaluate an investment opportunity, Ellie's going to answer your questions. Okay, this table here, Mendel Pinson. If you have questions about insurance for your property, this table here is going to be the insurance table. Mendel, come over here. Management. If you are in the management business and you have questions about how to deal with management, we have Hanan Feldman from Parkway Realty Group is going to be at this table. And where's it empty? What table is there an open table? Where? Here? Okay. So Ira will be here. The topic that we chose for this table, if you're a brokerage owner or you're an employer, Ira's going to talk about strategies, how to attract and retain talent. That's the topic of this table over here. So Ira, you'll come here. Management. So everyone just pick your table and get started. Everyone